Hello to all my people, and if you're watching live, checking us out on YouTube, or listening on your favorite podcast provider, you are most definitely my people. Welcome to another episode of Botched Bots and Share Shots. I'm your host, a chef by trade and mark by choice. I am the Will Gray, and tonight, my people, I tell you, tonight is a very special edition. We have not one, but two-thirds of one of the most iconic tag teams in the NWA. Starting first, we have none other than Billy Corgan's favorite wrestler himself. It is Rolando Freeman. Rolando, how are you?
Man, let me just start off by saying, say hello to Rolando!
How could you not be excited about that? Brush, how are you not just living your best life 100% of the time?
Because I'm living in his shadow 100% of the time.
So
it's not a big shadow.
That being said, directly to my right, your left on the screen is none other than, he's a Botched Bots and Share Shots alumni. He's an old bag for him. He's done this before. He is another person from the Spectaculars, none other than our boy NWA superstar Rush Freeman. Rush, welcome back. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me again.
I'm excited, man. I'm really excited for this. Rolando, it's your first time, and I was kind of giving you the rundown. I don't get to give you the formal red carpet treatment as I normally do because I don't usually get two people at once. This is a kind of special occasion. Two NWA superstars right now, and I'm honored. I appreciate it. But even NWA superstars don't get off the hook, brother. You still got to answer the question for me. I look at it like this. Everybody has an origin story, right? Since I've got to kind of rush through it, but expedite it a little bit. Let's start. What did you grow up watching? And when I was turning over my rocks, I saw you got into the Nightmare Factory. So let's kind of start there. What you grew up watching, how you got into training, and then how you ended up at the Nightmare Factory.
This is for me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Well, I first started watching wrestling when I was 9. My grandmother was a huge wrestling fan. She loved wrestling. She was like, hey, you want to watch SmackDown with me one night? And The Undertaker showed up, and he was kicking ass, taking out Edge and the Edge heads. Shout out Matt Cardona. And man, it was awesome. I fell in love ever since. And then he has a younger brother, Kane. Like, dude, that crap's awesome, dude. These guys were like superheroes to me. They were amazing.
And then, everybody has to have that conversation with themselves, right? Like, I want to be a pro wrestler. When you decided you wanted to start training, what was that process like when you decided, okay, I'm going to do it? How did you go about doing it?
Oh, well, I had the idea when I first started watching, but I got a job working a local fast food joint for a few months, got enough money to start training at this local show in Alabama, actually, not the Nightmare Factory at first. I trained there. I learned my basics, didn't really learn how to tell a story or make moments, all the good stuff that sells tickets in pro wrestling. I didn't learn any of that. I actually didn't get into the Nightmare Factory for about 3 years later. I'd already been in the business for like 3 years. Me and a buddy of mine named Donnie Primetime were just trying to get our names out there any way we could. And the One Fall Power Factory, which it was known as at the time, were having open walk-ins a few days throughout the week. And so we showed up and we got in good with QT. And eventually we just kept going. We just kept going until it became the Nightmare Factory, and we got to do the advanced classes. And I learned so much there. So much. It was great. And that's where I met Mr. Freeman here.
So, Rush, I'm going to switch it over to you now. You and I've had we've had that first date, that awkward first moment where you get to know each other, right?
Yep.
So in the last year, you've had a hell of a year. The Spectaculars have had an amazing year, going everything you've done over it, leading up to coming out of the Crockett Cup. We're going to get to NWA 75 as well, but what's going on with you guys right now as we speak? How are the Spectaculars? You look at that, you're swimming through a storm of tag teams. You've got Magnum Muscle to the Fixers, AJ Kazana and those guys. You've got so many talented tag teams. What are the Spectaculars doing to stand out right now? Yeah,
the tag team division is stacked, but we try to live up to the name of being spectacular. We try to stand out the most. So you got your country gentlemen, they're just big hay hauling country boys. You got your Fixers, who are big stupid idiots, and Magnum Muscle, they bring a lot to the table. But what we do is me and Brady try to stand out. We try to look the best, we try to perform the best, and we try to train and eat the best. We just want to stand out and be as good as we can.
Rolando, what was it like for you? You're coming out of the Alabama region. You and I have crossed paths at some of the New South shows where we'll kind of cut into some of that too as well. What was it like for you having a chance to break in there and work for Billy's NWA? It's one of my favorite things to find out is because his approach to wrestling cuts it way back to a lot of the origins of what the NWA tried to be and was in the 70s and stuff. What was it like for you having a chance to break in and be a part of Billy's NWA?
Oh, dude, it was amazing because I actually bumped into Rush at the Knoxville show. I think it was Always Ready.
Yep, Always
I
Ready.
believe. And we bumped in. I was just showed up to help out, like to help set up the ring, right? And then we got to talking, and we were wearing similar clothes, and so we took a picture together. And from what I can tell, he took it to the back and like showed all the people, and they were like, "Hey, bring him back here right now." And that's how the little brother storyline happened. And
he wasn't there 20 minutes. This guy wasn't there 20 minutes, and he had a job. I've never seen anything like it.
It was insane, and I'm very honored that Billy put me in big spots to allow myself to shine, and I'm very glad I didn't disappoint him. Man, it's been an honor, and it's been a dream come true working for Billy's NWA, truly.
We talked about it, so we're coming up on 75, but last summer at 74 you had a rather exciting expedition there, having a chance to cross paths with Matt Cardona. What was that like when you got word, okay, not only are you working one of the biggest events for NWA, but you're also working maybe the biggest indie star in the last few years, and then they tell you the news, oh yeah, by the way, you're winning. Like, how did that feel? Like when you got all of that news and you walk into the venue that day, you're like, fuck, this has got to go down. And like, that's big, dude. Like, NWA wrestling at the Chase is a big deal, but like, how did that feel for you? Coming from Alabama, working your way up, everything you went through to get there.
God, it was very relieving because I got to go out there and show all the people that doubted me over the years that I am a star, and also I got to prove to everyone that believed in me that I was a star, and most importantly, I got to prove to myself that I was a star. So it was incredible. It was incredible. But, God, I remember me, Rush, and Brady were like sitting around talking, and Anthony Lacasio comes up to us, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, you're winning, by the way." Like, very nonchalant. So
just throws it out there. Just
at first we're like, "Oh, that's not real." But then as we get closer, that didn't change. Like, that's the finish. And then when I got out there, and then I heard when I beat him, and I heard that reaction, God, and I was like, man, this is what wrestling's all about. Truly, is moments that people will never forget, and I was very honored to be a part of it.
I remember being shocked, and it wasn't like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. That was like that sheer moment of like, wow, okay. Because it wasn't fluky. It was very well done to tell the story. Yes. And I was like, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes that kind of stuff can get kind of hokey, but the way it was done, I was like, that worked like really well. And it's just been a fucking rocket ship for you ever since, man.
It's actually really funny though. Cause like, me and Brady were told we're going to be in a battle royal, and we're like, Rolando, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just working Cardona. I'm like, wait, what?
I'm just working Cardona.
The usual work for Rolando.
Yeah, this is the usual.
It's just Saturday for me, me and Cardona. So this question is for both of you. Rush, I'll let you tee this one off. So over the last year since I talked to you, you've done both, being in the NWA Superstar, being in the locker room, doing all the things with them, but you're also keeping a fairly consistent indie schedule as well. So I'm going to let you tee off with this one. How are you keeping that balance going, being an NWA superstar as well as being an independent wrestling superstar?
It kind of just fell into my lap. I always tell myself, you need to stay busy, you need to take bookings, but it seemed like most of last year I was always available and wasn't booked a lot on indie shows. And I ended up moving back to Oklahoma, which is where I'm from. And I wasn't really sure what the scene looked like here. And I had a buddy who was like, come on, just come to a show with me. So I came out and started doing shows, and then it started happening. Just word spread like wildfire. There's a guy here who was trained at Nightmare Factory and, can help. So they just started booking me on each show, and it was just I couldn't get a break. It was constantly just Facebook or Instagram, Twitter blowing up like, "Hey, you want to work this weekend? You want to work on this date in August, this date in July?" So the balance has been good. Like it was, Rolando's seen it. Like I'll have to come to NWA and I'm talking to him about shows I've got next weekend or the previous weekend. I was staying extremely busy for a while there. It's starting to slow down, but it was every single weekend having to do something.
Rolando, kind of the same question for you, man. How was it for you coming out of it? Like, then boom, all of a sudden you're getting booked by the NWA. It seems a ton, and you're keeping a constant record of the indies going pretty much all the time. Like, how are you finding that balance between being the NWA superstar and the indie wrestling star?
It can be a little stressful, mentally, but I'm very lucky that the NWA runs not as much as a lot of indies, and we film a lot of episodes of Power and USA and all that in one sitting. So I get to work indies a lot, especially New South. That is my home show. I love that show. And I also been working a lot of other shows throughout the Southeast throughout the years, like TWE in Chattanooga, Action Wrestling in Georgia, Pro Wrestling Ego in Mississippi, Southern Underground Pro.
Those are Nashville boys. Yeah.
Yes.
How have we not crossed paths more because I was at Scenic City. I've been at Action a ton, Southern Underground Pro's 20 minutes from my house. Like, how have we not crossed paths in Nashville at some point, Rolando?
That's crazy. But I love Nashville. I love going every time I go there, man. It's great.
Rush, let's take a look at something you're doing kind of here and now, so to speak. And that was wrestling against Hunger. You had a chance to wrestle with those guys, not only winning gold, but it's also kind of wrestling for a good cause. What was it like being up there with them? Yeah,
I'm still working with them. I've got a show with them this Saturday, actually. And it's crazy you say that. The promotion has to shut down. They're owned by a church, or they are a church, essentially. But the church rents out a building, different landlord, and that landlord is going to sell and he needs to vacate, and so they're having to find a new place to run where they're going to do shows and whatnot. But anyway, the promotion itself is really for a good cause. All the proceeds, like you think, like when people say they're taking money and they're going to donate all the proceeds, they got to fill their pockets first and then give the rest to wherever it's got to go. Literally every single dollar that comes in from tickets or merch or concessions, whatever it is, all the money that comes in, they're using to stock a food bank and feed their local families that are underprivileged. So it's honestly a great cause. Now, for the promotion itself, it is definitely not run like the NWA. It's got there's not drama and stuff, but it's definitely it's different, just the way things are done. So it is interesting. It's very different from the Alabama shows and the Georgia shows I used to do. But it's a lot of fun, and it's a good group of guys. And the people who are running it, the promoter, a guy named Brent, he's just a great guy, and he's a huge fan of Billy. So like every time I talk to him, he just wants to talk about the Smashing Pumpkins, and I didn't really know the Smashing Pumpkins until I met Billy. So he just wants to talk about them all the time.
That's got to be a weird world for him, because coming into it, so many people know Billy Corgan as the Smashing Pumpkin guys, but as the generation, like, I'm a little bit older than both of you, but even the generation before me were like the Smashing Pumpkins generation. So like the further separated from it, it's like, who are they? Like, it's funny to me now that for people to not know who they are. I'm like, that's hilarious. All right, Rolando, I've got to ask you a question. I'm kind of glad we're on opposite sides of the screen for it, because you might come at me for it, man. Last Saturday, bro, I sent Rush a video. I was at New South. You lost your mind on Cabana Man Dan.
Dude, man, I've looked up to that guy like a father, dude. For real. He's been a mentor to me, especially in my early years. He actually got my start at New South. It's a little similar to the NWA story, funny enough, because I showed up, helped set up the ring, and at this point, I was like, maybe a year in, I was hot garbage. But I got in because I looked like him, and I did the fake CMD character for a minute there, and eventually we feuded. We had a match where his career was on the line, and and if I won, I got to keep the name and stuff like that. And when he beat me, man, because people thought he was going to retire, Like they were biting on it. And when he beat me, they were like, they went crazy. People were crying. I even had boys in the back crying because of how good we did. But I turned on him because, well, we were supposed to have a match that night, but I'm going to break, kayfabe here just a little bit, but we all know wrestling's not real. But we were calling in the match in the back, and all of a sudden he just like trips and falls. And I'm like, we're just like, what's happening? And he was like, dude, it felt like someone just threw a rock at my leg. And we're like, what? Just try to walk on it, man. Like at first we thought it was a cramp, and then like probably like 30 minutes before we went out, he was like, yeah, we can't do this. So I kind of had to turn heel on the fly just to kind of make it make sense, because I didn't want to just go out and be like, yeah, you got hurt, let's have this match, a little later down the line. You got to add a little story to it, because we make business, we make movies in this business, baby. Yes. But yeah, that's the story of that. when you comes back, we're gonna tear it up. That's for sure.
When you have an opportunity to go home, so to speak, and go back to New South, even still, is like got shows coming up. Working Kinsey Page, I think, is what I saw on a card coming up. When you have a chance to go home, so to speak, what's it like to go back to that New South crowd? They're wild, man. They're a beast upon themselves in a lot of way. Reminiscent of the 2300 days of those old ECW crowds. Like that New South crowd wants a very specific type of wrestling. What's it like having a chance to go home?
Oh, dude, it's great, because like I came back after that pay-per-view against 75. I came back a hero. And ever since then, man, for a long time, I feel like I didn't get enough credit and enough respect like I thought I deserved. And going and doing that and coming back as a hero has been very humbling, just to see how differently people treat me. People actually look up to me and ask me questions about how their matches went. And man, it's very, very humbling just to think about where I came from and to think about where I'm at now. Like, dude, I'm going to say it again. It's a dream come true, like truly. And I get to help these people out as a teacher, kind of a teacher. I'm still very young in my career, about 7 years in. I got a long time to go, but I just love seeing people like get better. And I love seeing people find out why we do this. It's the fact that we make moments, and we do it for the people in the front row so they can forget about their stress or whatever is going on in their life. I like to think we give people hope, that they don't have to like listen to society's rules, and they can do whatever they want. So, man, I just love being the superstar I am now and just getting to inspire people. It's great.
And to piggyback off what he said there, the NWA did do that for us. It gave us some credibility. So we were already educated and talented, especially from our work with Nightmare Factory, just polishing us up. But going to NWA, we're working with professionals, and we're learning so much from them. So when we go back to these local shows, people look up to us like we're the guys we're looking up to at NWA. So we're able to give them insight on things that they could do differently, or the stuff that they would tell us in our matches that could apply to them.
So let's stay on that NWA track. Let's talk about the here and now. You guys got in 75 right around the corner, one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year for you guys. Every title on the line up for the grabs in those 2 nights. It feels like everybody's got everything building up to that. Rush, let's tee it off with you. What's the excitement level like leading up to a big show like 75 Wrestling at the Chase, St. Louis, Missouri? Like, that's the breeding ground, dude. Waterloo's right down the road from that, where the NWA started, man. Like, what's the excitement level for you guys like right now heading into the show?
Man, NWA 73, 4, 5, all of them. They're St. Louis, Wrestling at the Chase. Those are my absolute favorite shows of the year. It's our biggest show of the year. I look forward to it all year long, and my family talks about it. They tell everyone that they know about it. It is the most exciting time of the year. So I can't wait to go. We haven't been announced for what our matches are yet. I honestly don't know yet, but I've got a couple ideas what it could be, and I'm really excited. I've been busting my ass as much as I can. I've been in the gym constantly. I'm trying to stick to my diet as well as I can, but I'm a little bit of a cheater in there, so I'm doing the best I can. I had a quesadilla for today, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, I am honestly just tunnel vision. I've got like 2.5 weeks right now just to get there, and I just want to give it all before we get there.
Rolando, what about you, brother? Same question, man. Looking at it coming out of the year you had last year, coming into this year, even not knowing 100% where it's going to be lying those 2 nights for you, like what's the excitement level for you going into another year?
Ecstatic, man, because I know myself and my abilities and the Spectacular's abilities, and I know that whatever we're put in, we're going to steal the show because we've got characters, we have the in-ring ability, and most importantly, we have the personality, which I guess is the same thing as character. But where I'm getting at is I think no matter what we're put in, we're going to be okay and we're going to shine. And thinking about last year, man, that was – how are we going to top that? How are we going to top that, Rush? We got to find out a way. We got to find a way to top it. And we don't really know how we are, but I think it's going to be a really interesting year for the Spectaculars. And I'm really excited for the audience to see what's coming up.
Yeah, I have to agree.
All right, gentlemen, this is a new question. Rolando, it's the first time you and I have had this conversation. But Rush, I wasn't asking this question the first time you and I talked, so you got to answer first. So we're going to look back. We're going to hop back in the Wayback Machine. We're going to go back to day 1, night 1, match 1, right before young rookie Rush walks through that curtain. What advice do you give that man today? Knowing everything you've gained through your career, like what advice do you give him? Rolando, you get the advantage because you get to think about it because you're coming up next.
So my first match was a student showcase battle royal. It was with a bunch of other students. We were all terrible. And, they try to plan out some spots, but it's just going to go to hell. It's a battle royal. So my advice would just say, all right, just take what you've learned over the past 8-12 weeks and just go out there and have fun. Just live in the moment and act like a kid on the trampoline and just don't worry about anything. It's just going to be a lot of fun. And also just, focus on people around you and the people outside of the ring. Don't be living in this moment. Don't get in your head.
It's always a good answer. Everybody always gives. You don't really know there's a right answer to a question like that till you hear it. And every time I hear it, I'm like, that's the right answer. That's the new right answer. Now, Rolando, your turn, man. What advice do you give that man? You give me your right answer now.
Oh, man, I would tell that 17-year-old kid to get the heck out of there. Get out of Boaz, Alabama. None of these people know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. You're literally starting from the bottom of the barrel with no one to back you up. Get out of there. Go to a reputable school. That's what I would tell 17-year-old Rolando during his first match. God. And I remember it was wild because it was like a fatal 4-way cruiserweight match. It was me and 3 other guys. I don't remember, but like it started out with 2 people in the ring, and then like 2 people were on the corners, and you had to make a tag. Very strange rules, but I remember. I think all I did was I gave a hip toss, and then I maybe have hit the ropes, did a head scissors. It was a terrible head scissors because I didn't know how to post, and the guy didn't know how to base because he was a shitbird. And I knocked the guy's tooth out.
Oh,
I knocked this guy's tooth out in my first match ever. So, man, I would say get the heck out of there, Rolando. You don't know what you don't know what you're doing, and they don't know what you're doing. I'm surprised I didn't get hurt. That's for sure.
All right, guys. Rush, this is the same from the last time. And I always close out with 5 random questions that have absolutely nothing to do with wrestling. All right. I've got your guys' 5 queued up. I'm going to ask, and then you guys just spit out your answers as it comes to you. All right. Question number 1. You're on the road. What's your go-to fast food stop?
Oh, is it fast food's like a chain?
Yeah. If you're on the road, you leave a show, it's 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes. You're starving. What's your go-to stop on the road?
It is Waffle House every time.
Rolando, what about you? Is it always going to be Waffle House?
No, for me, it's Taco Bell. It's Taco Bell. We, because me, Kinsey Page, and her boyfriend Hunter, we like to, partake. And like, that's one of the best things to eat after a show when you're smoking. It's great, man.
Birds of a feather. I'm definitely a Taco Bell fan, and if you've ever been frequented to this channel, you know I partake as well. So, Question number 2, gentlemen. What was the last TV show you binge watched?
Stranger Things. Last
Great
year.
pick. Yeah.
I'm currently binge watching Malcolm in the Middle.
Wow. Okay.
I never watched it as a
Interesting
kid,
choice.
so I just started, and I'm already on season 4 in like 2 weeks.
Have you ever heard the conspiracy theory about how the dad from Malcolm in the Middle is Heisenberg from Breaking Bad and Witness Protection or whatever?
Yes, I have. I love it.
That's awesome. That's another show I binge watched. Breaking Bad. That's a great show.
It's funny. I'm watching it with my girlfriend, and like we're in like season 2, and she just randomly says, "He kind of reminds me of Walter White." Like she waited like 20-something episodes in to realize that's the same character.
Well, I have to break it to you.
Because you're so good looking, Rush, man. She couldn't stop looking at you, dude.
Just couldn't focus on anything else.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Number 3, it's an either or. All right, taking all the medical stuff out of it, you don't have to worry about the medical side of it. Would you rather never get hungry again or never get thirsty again?
Thirsty.
Thirsty. I love food way too much to give up food. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say thirsty.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty easy one. All right, another either or. All right, you got to give up one forever, but you can have unlimited amounts of the other one. Tacos or cheeseburgers?
I would
give up cheeseburgers.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think I would like to keep tacos.
Yeah, I would keep tacos probably too. That's a tough pick for me, though. They're 2 of my favorite foods.
Yeah.
All right, man. Question number 5. It's the most serious question of the night. This is the most decisive question I found amongst wrestlers. It's probably my go-to. I ask this one more than anything, man. Do you guys think a hot dog is a sandwich?
Nah.
No.
I honestly
make me think, but no, I'm gonna say no.
I think it's its own thing.
Yeah, it's its own category, kind of like a
category,
taco or something. It's like its own little handheld segment, submarine sandwich, tacos, hot dogs. It's kind of its own little spectrum.
Yes.
It's a very
You
divided
broke it down
audience.
very well.
As a chef, like a legitimate chef, did it for a living. Like, I like people's impressions when they talk about food. I'm like, the fuck do you think about this? All right, guys, this is the easy part of the episode, man. I don't have to say anything. Rolando, you go first. It's your first time on. Rush, you got to go second on this. Plug your stuff. Tell everybody your socials, where to find you, what you have going on, any shows you want to tell us about or anything like that.
Sure. Heck yeah. You can follow me at Rolando_pro on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook at Rolando Perez. And man, we got New South has 2 awesome Action Clash tapings this weekend. Woodville, Alabama, I'm wrestling Kenzie Page. And then the next night, Huntsville, Alabama, I'm wrestling a greener kid, Brandon Cole. And dude, I'm going to kick his ass. I'm kidding. But, I want to give him a good match, and hopefully he can learn a lot from me because I like him. He's a good person. I really hope that he learns something from me in that match, and it's going to be great.
I love all the New South guys. Like it's hard for me not to be biased as the more I like visit down there and the more I help out, like it's hard for me not to be biased in my work because I'm like, all those guys just fucking cool as shit, dude. Like all of them are awesome. Rush, your turn, man. Where can everybody find you? What you got going on?
Yes, you can find the most spectacular little brother in all of wrestling on Instagram at The Rush Freeman or on Twitter at The Freak Freeman. And I'm also on Facebook. Just look up Rush Freeman. I'm on Facebook. This weekend I've got a show in Tulsa, Oklahoma with Wrestling Against Hunger. I'm facing a kid named Romeo Reese, and it's for a title match. And you know he needs a lot of practice. He needs to stay consistent in the gym and on his diet. But he's hungry in more ways than one. So he's a good kid. He's up and coming. So we'll see what he's got. But if you're in the Oklahoma area, you can come watch the show. NWA 75, we're going to be in St. Louis. It's going to be huge. That'll be the 26th and 27th of this month. And on the 28th and 29th, we'll be in Nashville. So you can come see me and Rolando and Brady and all the other NWA cast. And the Fixers suck.
The Fixers suck. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure. Rush, I always love when our paths cross, brother, and we have a chance to talk shop. Rolando, it was great to meet you. I'm glad to have you on here, man. It was great having you on to chat about some wrestling with me, guys.
It was an honor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us, for sure.
For the Spectaculars, Rush and Rolando Freeman. I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.
Thank you. I gotta go.